'cause you love rugby. So what you think of this XV?
Right, episode 3 of the XV podcast. We made it.
We were here.
Oh, I haven't even changed the name of my team on here. Which actually works quite well because today we are doing Fleeting XV. So, Sean, explain Fleeting XV.
I'll explain it, but I'm not even sure we're yet
To agree it.
But my definition for fleeting, I think we started off saying temporarily world class, didn't we? So it's basically players who, for a year or two at most, were like up there with the very best players in the world in their position. And then not necessarily disappeared, but just didn't have the same form for the rest of their career. So they don't necessarily have to have like a few caps. They could have had like a 10-year career, but were only like really good or amazing for a year or two.
Yeah, I've a few of my players were like maybe amazing for like a game or two, world class for a game or two, or like there's a reason why they would like be considered world class for that reason. But obviously we can argue that.
What would your definition of world class be?
Well,
it is a tricky one.
I get, like, if you're going on the Lions tour, I think you're probably pretty much top of your game. I know there's some exceptions to that rule, like the travelling ones and stuff. But
yeah, like the squad. If it's Lions test player.
Yeah. World Cups, performing in Rugby World Cups, performing in Six Nations Rugby Championship.
Yeah, I would probably be a bit stricter. I'd say, to be world class, you've probably got to be in the conversation for, like, maybe top 3, 4, 5 players in your position in the world, I think.
Okay. Well, we can argue this out, can't we?
Yeah.
We can argue that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we start at number 1.
Yeah.
It's probably a good place to start.
Yeah.
Right, do you want to go first on this one?
Okay, yeah. I did initially think it was a tight head until I looked into it a bit deeper. So I got Alex Corbisiero.
Yeah, he was on my list, Alex Corbisiero.
Basically because of that 2013 Lions tour.
Yeah.
I think he ended up starting all the tests.
Yeah.
If not, kind of 2 out of 3. Pretty sure he scored a try in the one that we ended up winning.
Really important try.
Ended up battering Australia.
Yeah.
Don't even remember him showing that much form to get onto the tour in the first place, or doing much after. I think he had a bad injury and then he retired, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he got quite ill as well. He was funny enough. I was reading about him. He was born in America, and he's now a coach in the MLR as well.
Oh yeah, that's right.
He coaches in the major, and he did a rugby series which is really good. I think it was just on YouTube. But when he goes over to America and gets like these athletes,
I saw that. Yeah.
And plays them. So yeah, he's and he was class on that tour.
Oh, amazing! Yeah,
that spinning try for the Lions, wasn't it? I remember him scoring that spinning try. And he it was like quite a close ranger, but
yeah, but he was dominating the scrums and stuff as well, wasn't he? I know Adam Jones obviously helped him out loads, but I'm wondering if Gethin Jenkins must have been injured.
Yeah,
because would he have taken Gethin's place around 2013? Because Gethin still would have been near the top of his game around then, wouldn't he?
Yeah, well, like, and it says here, like, injury ruled him out of the 2013 Six Nations, and he's still got on that tour. I assume that was Gatland tour was there, so he obviously saw something in him.
Yeah, that's the tour when Wales dominated the whole team, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Seems like a long time ago.
I had him. I also had Wyn Jones. So, Wyn Jones...
Yeah.
I was looking at players. World Rugby have changed it now, so they do like a World 15 every year. They used to do like they still do World Player of the Year, but every year now they do a World 15. I think the first one they did was 2021, and Wyn Jones was the starting loosehead in the World 15. And I think like injuries have just battered him over the last 2 years.
They must have done, because I don't think he must have had one bad injury. He has been the same since, because he's been available for selection for a while now, and he's not getting anywhere near the Scarlet starting lineup, and they're really struggling.
Yeah.
I mean, let alone getting near the Wales team. I'm pretty sure he's still under 30.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was great on that Lions tour. Wales won that Six Nations with Pivac that year as well, and he was really good then.
Yeah.
He scored quite a few tries from close range. He was good at that as well.
So Cobasiero, 31 caps for England. So I always think world class for a short time. Like you've got to be. And fit, he's had 48 caps, Wyn Jones for Wales. But yeah, he just, I don't know, he has fallen off a little bit, but I think that's probably due to injuries. It's a tough position, isn't it? But I would probably say Cobasiero just for that Lions tour and that. Well, Wyn Jones started every like Lions.
He did. It was a losing Lions tour, but don't forget Australia were shocking in that 2013 tour, so it's difficult to compare.
I reckon Cobasiero gets in there for me. I would agree with that. As
I would have thought Wyn Jones was a better shout.
Do you reckon?
Yeah, because I was struggling for loose heads, so I already knew you were going to go Wyn Jones, and I was really annoyed I didn't get that. I would have gone for that straight away.
I tell you what,
part maybe bias involved as well.
There's a few in my front five who are Welsh, and I think it's so much easier for us as obviously Welsh supporters. We see these players playing really well, you know, if it's like a fleeting or short term, whereas we probably don't know about them as much if they're rugby championship and they have. So I've got a few Welsh. So I reckon if we get we don't often have English in there either. So I reckon maybe we just keep Alex Cobasiero.
If you like, I don't feel too strongly, but I thought Wyn Jones was. I thought Wyn Jones fit the criteria for fleeting.
Yeah.
Really well.
Okay, we'll come back.
But they both do. They both do.
Hooker. I'll start with Hooker. So, you said a name on the last pod, Shota Hori.
Oh yeah.
And when it comes to like temporarily world class or fleeting, that Japan, those two Japanese World Cups, they produced some amazing results, but some players who seemed to just turn up for that World Cup and then just disappear. Maybe because they were playing in Japan or they weren't really.
Yeah.
The Sunwolves disappeared as well, didn't they? Super Rugby. So, like a few of them, Shota Hori was the name there.
Although he was really good in 2015 and 29, didn't he? So that spans 4 years. And I don't know if we have to be strict on 2 years. It's hard to put like an exact number on it, but he was really. I think he stood out in both World Cups, which is quite a. Yeah. That's a chunk of time, isn't it?
I wonder
between two World Cups.
I wonder who he played for. Maybe it was because he was playing in Japan. It seems mad that players can play in Japan and then turn up to World Cups and beat teams like South Africa when you wouldn't think he's played his whole.
What was the biggest upset?
Yeah, he's played
of all time, wasn't it? Like in terms of a high profile.
But the other name I had down there was Richard Hibbard. Richard Hibbard came along and literally of that 2 years was just smashing people. He was one of the biggest hitters you're ever likely to see. And then again, just disappeared.
Are you going to go his hit on Marla in that 2013 England game?
Well, there was
2013 Wales team. I think that was peak Gatland. I think when we played England in 2013, and he was just part of that front five that no one wanted to deal with.
Yeah, this hit always comes to mind.
Is that just George North doing shortly after?
No, I think it's
scoring anyway.
Yeah, and I think. Yeah, well, I'll put these clips in the description. But George North and Richard Hibbard putting in two massive hits. Wales 16-10 up against Australia. And yeah, he just came along, just smashed people for like 2 years and then just disappeared. And he's a bit of a cult legend in Wales as well, isn't he? Oh, yeah.
But yeah, in terms of just having a bit of a beast at hooker.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It seems a shame that we didn't get more out of him for Wales. But I guess Ken Owens was always going to take over at some point, wasn't he?
And started 3 tests for the Lions. I think it was him. Was it Gethin and Adam?
Well, it was Cobasiero, wasn't it?
Yeah. So he was a shout for me. Who did you have down?
I've gone, and this feels like a harsh one. I got Julian Marchand for France. He's still world class, but he's not. He's been taken over by Mel Vaca. So I think if you're not they both play for the same club as well. So. He's not even starting for his club or his country, so I don't think you can really say he's still world class. But before Mel Vaca came along, he was just so dominant.
Good jackler.
Yeah, as a jackler, just as soon as he clamps on it, there was just no. It was either a penalty to France or he's coming out with the ball.
There's a part of me which thinks he's probably still got a little bit left in the tank to be still world class again.
He's mid-20s or something.
Yeah,
but I just think it's tough. I don't think he's stopped being world class, but he's just not playing the games because Mel Vaca's taken over. So it feels like a harsh one, but he was really dominant for France for a couple of years, and now Mel Vaca's taken over. And I'd be surprised if he comes back to take over Mel Vaca unless there's an injury or something. That turnover we're watching now is amazing.
Yeah, he's over the ball.
Squat, isn't he?
He's so hard, so hard to clear out over the ball.
So nails as well by the looks of that.
Who do we reckon then?
I think Hibbard is a much better shout.
Richard Hibbard?
Yeah.
I'll definitely take that one. I used to love him as a player as well.
Yeah, really good. Good fun.
Right, Struggle City, this one.
Yeah, mine is one of those where it's just like for lack of other options, I think.
Yeah. Who did you go for?
That's my turn, is it? And again, it's probably debatable whether he's world class because I don't think he had many international caps. But I'm Brian Mujati, just because there was that period for Northampton.
Guess who I went for? Brian Mujati.
Oh, did you?
Well, do you know what? And I didn't mention him because I didn't want to mention him in my loose heads. Surani Tanguia and him, loose tight head props for Northampton.
Yeah, so that's exactly what I got in mind. Hit and Hartley in the middle.
And Hartley in the middle,
And they'd score, I think even Mujati and Tanguia had like a highlight reel of scoring, like big run-in tries as well, which is, pretty rare for especially a tight head prop.
What I will say is that career in Northampton got him 12 caps for South Africa. I don't think if he wasn't playing for Northampton in that dominant team and became as good as he did there, he wouldn't have got a South African cap, I don't think.
But weren't they partly dominant because of how good he was as well?
Yeah, of course. Oh no, of course. Yeah, and that front row was a massive part of it. But I
watch his YouTube.
You used to send them to me all the time. It was like a day in the life of Mujati. He was really funny, wasn't he?
They were quite entertaining.
But he, he's a massive vlogger. But
he was really good, top club player. But even I'm not convinced with my own core here about being world class because I mean he didn't do it internationally.
Yeah, but I'll be honest, I couldn't really think of any other tight heads. Yeah. I had our little favourite player who never really got to world class, Demba Bamba, but he never really got to world class ever, did he?
Has he been capped?
Yeah, he's been capped a few times. But
that's based on under 20s, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, is it Jordan Joseph from that team?
Yeah.
Didn't he win? I'm sure he won young player of the year twice.
Yeah.
And he's just fallen off.
I think it's a shout. You're getting in the South Africa squad and you're in that team. You dominate, and you're not far. And plus, we probably haven't got anyone else.
This is when I'd be really interested to hear if anyone had better suggestions. I'm sure somebody can suggest someone that we haven't thought of.
Yeah, there's got to be, and I bet you there's some New Zealand tight ends who came in, tore it up, and then disappeared.
I did think about Joe Moondy, but he was really good for a while.
He's probably closing in on 100 caps or something, not 100, but
And I think it was good for most of them.
Yeah. I think it's hard to be really shine as a tight end prop as well, isn't it? He's world class. Because if you're world class, you're probably just doing your job and that's scrummaging really well and a little bit around the park.
But if your set piece is dominant, that comes across as Adam Jones was obviously world class, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Just because all he did was set piece. That's all he needs to do, hit a few works as well.
Yeah, I think we'll agree on that one, but I'd like to hear some shouts on that and who people think could come in. So we'll go on to our first second row. So I got obviously two options for second row. My first one is two Welsh players. So I had Luke Charteris down because some of the rugby he was playing, defensive lineouts around the park. Wasn't it the game where him and Faletau had 38 tackles or something as well?
Yeah, that was
Ireland at home.
I think it might be 2015. We watched that in the old arcade, didn't we? I think we had a crazy number of players with 20 plus tackles.
Yeah.
The Charteris was, I don't know if it was 38, but I think it might be 30s.
Yeah, that was Sean Edwards' defence at his finest. And he was amazing defensively. So I had Luke Charteris down. But
he was good for a while though, Charteris. He was in the 2011 World Cup team and 2015, I think, starting as well. So
probably
I'd say that spans too long a period.
Yeah, probably world class for a little bit longer. But the other one I had down, and this one is world class for like a game. So Bradley Davis, I think early in the week, it came out on Wales Online that his mum had died, and they weren't sure if he was going to leave the camp, etc. I'm not sure if he was even starting at the time, playing maybe, was it England at home?
I think it was France.
France at home. It's a bit like, this is like a folklore Welsh story of like an epic performance. And the team came out and it was like Bradley Davis is starting, and obviously playing on pure emotion, and he came out and just had just a blockbuster game, just absolutely nailing everything. You just sort of knew it was on the cards.
Yeah, sort of standing out beyond what you'd expect from a second row as well. Like, I think he's making clean breaks and stuff as well, and just always wanting the ball in attack, always looking to make big hits in defence. I'm pretty sure he must have made 20 plus tackles as well.
I love that.
Just empty the tank.
I love that Gatlin probably said to him, like, do you want to play? And he was like, fucking right, I want to play. And like, yeah, like you said, pure emotion, and he just had almost world class for like that one game. So I had him down as well.
Okay.
Do you want to do your first, second row?
Yeah, I don't love mine. Again, I think it's just a nod to that 2013 Lions tour, where I think there must have been quite a few players who were just really good for a short period of time. Like Jeff Parling. Nothing that fun about him or entertaining to watch him, but I think he was just really good, really solid for a couple of years, and then I don't know, the likes of Itoje came through and took over. Yeah,
and like we said, like playing on the Lions tour, you're pretty much at the top of your craft.
If you're starting in the tests, like, and it was a winning test team as well.
He was like, he wasn't the biggest guy. He was he was tall, but he was quite rangy and long, wasn't he?
6'6". I think he was good. I think he was just really good at. I think he like called lineouts and stuff as well. So he's one of those really valuable players for a set piece.
Okay, nice. Yeah, I like that.
But it really kind of I don't know,
unassuming,
an inspiring choice.
Yeah.
I mean, 2012 to 2015.
Okay. Who was your other one?
Honourable mention for that, and I've deleted it. Like he was going to be one of my starting against Jeff Parling. I got Cameron Wackey, and again, this might feel harsh because he's still got time to come through and be amazing. But a couple of years ago, he looked like he was about to be the best second row in the world.
I honestly think he's one of the best line-up forwards in the world right now.
He's not starting for France anymore, and he has fallen off a bit. But I still think he's early 20s, which is why I deleted him. Almost regret even mentioning his name because I'm potentially chatting shit.
I actually love him though. I love Cameron. He's a sick player.
Yeah.
Like line-out wise, like when he's playing,
unique style.
He wins every single line-out. Line-out steals as well. He's an absolute menace in the line-outs. I love him.
He's all action as well, isn't he, around the park? I've also gone, again, potentially harsh, James Ryan.
Yeah.
Just because Tad Burners come through and just basically robbed him of any chance of starting for Ireland and getting loads and loads of caps. But again, a few years ago, I think when Ireland beat New Zealand for the first time in years, or maybe the first time ever, he might have even been captaining Ireland. And he just looked like he was going to be the next Paul O'Connell or whatever. Don't think he even starts for Leinster anymore because you've got who's the guy who came through in the World Cup in this Six Nations?
Yeah. It's McCarthy.
Joe McCarthy.
Yeah, he's really good, isn't he?
So I think he's even on the bench for Leinster these days, and he's only 27. So again, he's still really decent. But I think a couple of years where he could have been in the running for best second row in the world.
Yeah,
one of the best 2 second rows in the world, and now he's just not starting enough to be within that description.
I can't believe I'm just looking at his Wikipedia now. He's got one game for Munster, and then he obviously moved to Leinster. I don't know.
2017.
Yeah, well, it's obviously 2017 to 2017. So he must have played once for Munster, then signed for Leinster. I don't know how that happened, if at all. But
that is weird.
That is very strange.
But I'm not particularly happy with that as a choice. So I'm almost expecting to say something better that I haven't thought of.
Well, my other one, who was all action, was Sebastian Chabal. So he did get in the French squad a little bit, but that World Cup, was it the 2015 World Cup? No,
2007.
2007 World Cup. Sorry, I'm miles off. He was just an absolute world beater. He just looked like on a different planet. I think that he was playing back row, and the coach said, "Will you come and play second row for me?" And he said, "Yeah, go on, I'll do it." And he was just world class. And I think it was a little bit of that fleeting. He wasn't at that level for a long time. He was obviously quite an unrefined player, wasn't he? He was very much power and manic and stuff like this. But yeah,
But he hardly ever played second row. I know he had a couple of games in that World Cup. I'm thinking of the last episode we had. I regret giving you Mata at 6 because I don't think he ever played 6. I think we need to be a bit stricter on position. I get the fact he's played second row a few times, but he was pretty much an out-and-out number 8, wasn't he, Shabal?
Yeah, okay. Well, it does say here, although Shabal is primarily, fair enough, primarily back row, former France coach Bernard Laporte frequently used him as lock. In 2007, Shabal said he called him up, asked him to come to the French squad. "I really want to pick you, but I wanted to play second row," and he said yes. So that's what he went to when he probably had his best tournament at 2000. So, okay,
maybe he played there more than I remember, but
he was world class at second row for a short time, maybe. He probably was.
I would say he was world class as an 8. And then he fit in at second row.
Yeah,
in a French team that got that did badly in the World Cup.
Would it have been Harry Nordicke? Would have been playing 8 then? But did he have the broken nose with the...
That's right, he had some face cap. He was class for ages, Harry Nordicke.
Yeah. No, but that's why you probably moved him forward.
Sorry, I see.
Fit all your best players in.
Yeah, probably right.
Okay, so we have to agree on 2 of these. And do you know who I reckon Bradley Davis gets in, because what a A game. And I honestly reckon Jeff Parlin. If you're talking about world class for a short amount of time, you don't really hear about much of him before, after he was in those Lions tests.
But I would argue, I'm not convinced that he was ever world class. James Ryan was for a bit. I prefer James Ryan, I think.
Okay, we'll go James Ryan. James Ryan. Okay, that's your front 5. I don't think that's the easiest front 5 to choose, to be honest.
It's not a great front 5, is it?
Yeah, but you've got to remember, you're picking that front 5 at that time. So that front 5 is amazing because they're playing in their world class era.
True, but also I think that front 5 just suggests that we can't wait to get onto the backs, doesn't it?
I'm back row.
It's looking a bit shit altogether.
I think back row's a decent one as well.
I reckon we're missing some sitters.
Please send some in because I'm sure there's loads. Like, I really do think my knowledge of like the rugby championship isn't good enough because I'm sure there's people who've lit up rugby championship. Even teams like Argentina who've probably gone and beaten New Zealand and had an amazing game, and I just maybe haven't really picked up on it.
I agree. Yeah, I feel the same. I think we've got Northern Hemisphere heavy, just because. Yeah, I don't know enough about. I think I only remember the players who were around for a long time for the Southern Hemisphere teams.
Right, let's go 6. I'll start with 6. I've got 3 down here, okay? A 6.
Yeah, right.
I've got Radike Samo.
Not a 6.
Well, you had him as 8, did you? Run him down at 8. But I had Radike Samo. I had Tom Croft. But the one I'm going to go for is Sione Loaki, the New Zealand 6.
Right.
He did have that first cap stinker, but he did end up coming back and playing some, ridiculous rugby.
Okay.
So, yeah, he's my shout.
Who were your other 2?
Tom Croft. Tom Croft was great for short. I think he was...
2009 Lions.
Yeah,
Rapid.
2009 Lions. He was unbelievable. Loaki as well played for the Pacific Islands.
Right, yeah.
When they had that sort of linked Pacific Islands team against some of the internationals. And he was really good for them. And then obviously New Zealand sort of
good kit,
snatched him. But yeah, Tom Croft loved him. He was a rapid back row 6, could score tries from anywhere. And I had Radike Samo, who could go down as an 8, but I had too many 8s, so I thought I'd put him as he did play 6 quite a lot. On the Radike Samo point, he almost signed for Cardiff.
What did he?
And chose Stade Francais instead.
Well, let's come on to him because I got him as an honourable 8 mention.
Okay.
He's not. I think we're scraping the barrel putting him at 6.
Okay. Choose. Tell me your blindside flankers.
Andy Powell.
See, I've got him down as an 8.
But for Wales, Ryan Jones would always play 8, and he would play 6. He might have ended up at 8, but I think his first few caps, the point that he did look world class before I even realised he's actually a bit shit. He was dominant at 6.
Okay.
I remember.
Okay. I've got him down on my 8 list.
Okay, I think he is more of an 8. But in terms of an athlete, I think
Oh,
he's been around for years, and he randomly just had an amazing year for Cardiff.
Yeah.
Just
That
making loads
team.
of crazy breaks. Yeah, really fun Cardiff team. And then for a couple of years for Wales, he ended up on the Lions tour. Obviously, he was nowhere near starting. So again, you could argue maybe he was never world class.
I think he was at a certain point to Wales. He helped us big time. He was that different sort of player. So he was just that sheer aggressive ball carrying madman. I like that shot. And I did have him down.
I've also got. I didn't originally have him, but you mentioned Tom Croft. I also thought Stephen Ferris looked amazing for a couple of years. And I think injury ended his career early.
Yeah, Stephen Ferris retired early.
Bit of an outspoken pundit. I don't tend to enjoy a lot of his opinions, but as a player, he was a ox.
I think he was there for a while. I think he had a few caps. 35. Okay, yeah, I'll take that. 35 caps. But yeah, he looked like he was very good. I would say world class player for a short time. I like that one.
We also, and again, this is trying to consider more Southern Hemisphere players. John Klein, who I think he got his first cap in the World Cup just now at the age of like 36 or something. Ended up starting the final. Pretty sure he slotted in at hooker as well.
Okay.
Just a bit of a journeyman South African sort of club player, and they just suddenly looked amazing in this last World Cup.
So who do we reckon on that one? I'm pained to say maybe Stephen Ferris. Yeah, I think so.
Stephen Ferris is. Even though he's third on my list, I think
injury.
I've convinced myself.
Well, I wanted Sione Luaki in that, but you know, was he?
He's the type of player that had an amazing highlight reel.
Was he ever world class? Was he ever top of the level? And
Was he ever world class?
I read an interview with Graham Henry, and he was saying, like I said, if Jerry Collins and Sowie Allen weren't around, he'd have probably had 50, 60 caps. But he just sort of
big boy. Isn't he?
Yeah. But he was something like 120 kgs playing in the back row, which is just frightening.
That's like,
I don't know. That's like New Tuolagi weight. You know the New Tuolagi.
Oh no, he's like he's like the heaviest player I've ever seen.
Okay, so Stephen Ferris gets in there. I didn't think I'd be writing that name down, but I like it. I think he fits the bill. 7. Okay. I got. You start with this one.
Okay. So we mentioned him on the first pod, Heinrich Brousseau. I think he fits the fleeting definition really well, and he was probably the best 7 in the world for a couple of years. That 2009 South Africa team. I don't even think he was starting in the World Cup.
No, I think
around there. No, that was 2007, wasn't it? 2009 against the Lions, he was amazing.
Yeah.
And then never really saw much of him again.
Yeah, just for 22 caps. I tell you what, I do want to do, and I'll link this in the description. In the last pod, you mentioned him versus Martin Williams, and I just want to
ragdolling.
Yeah, he just ragdolling and like having a little fight with Martin Williams. But like obviously he was such a strong guy, and obviously Martin Williams is probably a little bit of a shit as well.
When you consider the same position though, I think it just sums up the difference between South Africa and the Lions on that tour.
Yeah, not a bad shout. 100% definitely fits that bill.
Do you know what? This is when I think my honourable mention, just thinking out loud, I think it's better than my first one, is Ellis Jenkins.
Yeah, Ellis Jenkins.
I mean, he's retired recently, so he's kind of on my mind, or has been on my mind recently.
Yeah, retired this week, didn't he?
I don't think I've ever been as saddened by someone's injury, basically. He was on course to probably be Lions captain by 2021. Wales captain.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he was Wales captain on a couple of summer tours, wasn't he? When the players weren't available. On that streak when we just kept... We won sort of like 15 games in a row.
Him and Corey Hill were joint captains.
That's right, yeah. And I used to really like Corey Hill as well.
I think the game which probably... I think it was his last game for Wales, that obviously sickening injury to his knee. He was man of the match in that game. It happened in like the last play of the game. He got man of the match. We beat South Africa, and then unfortunately probably never really recovered from probably one of the worst knee injuries you can have.
Tragic. We were over a converted score ahead as well.
Yeah.
So he missed wonder
whether he needed to go for that.
But he was, yeah, like you said, on track to be everything.
He was as good at the point he got injured as I would consider like Jack Morgan to be now. Same level of like talent and excitement, and probably even more of a natural leader.
Yeah, different sort of player, I think. Jack Morgan's
Different sort of player.
But yeah, he's on that. He was on that trajectory, and it just bashed him like that, and it was horrible to see.
Couple of games for Cardiff, he was a sort of player. If you were having like a quiet 20 minutes, he would just take a game by the scruff of the neck.
Yeah,
full on. Not just played like a leader, but spoke like one as well. He obviously quite a bright, charming guy, really talented in a lot of different ways, but he could do everything.
Yeah, and 14 caps is fucking criminal. To only have had 14 caps.
Horrible, yeah.
You could be looking at this as 80, 90 caps by the time he retires. But
he was definitely world class, and it was for a tragically short period.
Have you got anyone else down for 7?
No, I just have Brosseau and Ellis Jenkins.
Well, I've got a couple. So I had Hamish Watson down. I think he had that one Six Nations where he's played the tournament.
Yeah.
He went on the Lions tour. Didn't really like the Lions tour, but he was pretty. He was actually one of the hardest men to stop. He was just so hard to tackle.
I think he was meant to be a beast in the gym, wasn't he?
Yeah, really strong. So I had him down. I quite liked him.
Oh right, yeah.
Shout out to Rhys Edmonds. He gave me 1.
Oh, not Rhys Edmonds.
Rhys Edmonds, long-time listener of the pod. Dan Levy. So Dan Levy...
that's an injury one, isn't
Dan Levy obviously retired early from injury. He started... Well, no, he came off the bench in the first game and then started every other game in Ireland's 2018 Grand Slam winning world.
I remember he looked amazing. And I think very soon after that he had the career-ending injury, didn't he?
So... I had him, but the one I would like to say, and I've got his counterpart as well in my backline, but Steffon Armitage obviously left London Irish to join Toulon, and I think at one point when Toulon were winning all those European Cups, I think he was one of the best rugby players on the planet.
Yeah, he was amazing.
No one in England could believe it. I think they weren't allowed to pick him. He was just unbelievable. He got better when he went there as well. So it took him a little while to get to bed in. I think he had a pretty lacklustre first season, and then he just absolutely exploded. And obviously they had a wealth of talent, but he was like.
One of the best players, wasn't he? European Player of the Year.
Yeah, John Smith. He was like in the back row with him and one lobby, and he was like as good, if not better than them. Probably like he was on the short list for European Best Player of the Year. He had Best Foreign Player in the French top 14 one year as well, and he was unplayable at times.
But I think he was unplayable. See that finish?
Yeah, he's just a scary bloke.
I think he was unplayable for quite a fair few years.
Yeah, but can you really put somebody who was good at a club level as world class when
if you're winning Europe a few times? I think it's a fair shout.
Yeah.
If we've gone Brian Mujati and agreed on him, Steffon Armitage.
He had 5 caps for England.
But I don't think that's because he wasn't good enough to play for England. That's because they wouldn't pick any foreign players, players based abroad.
Yeah, he had 5 caps for England, and there was outrage. Can you remember the outrage about it? Everyone was calling for him to be in the squad.
For ages.
Okay, so maybe too long world class to be considered. I don't know, but
I think I think he's definitely world class, but I'm not sure how fleeting it was.
Okay, so let's see.
Yeah, 2011 to 2016, and he was really, really good for a lot of that time.
Okay. What about then for 7, Dan Levy for that 2018 Grand Slam?
I am going to fight for Ellis Jenkins on this one.
Yeah, let's go Ellis Jenkins.
Dan Levy, I hadn't thought of him. That's a really good shout, and it fits the criteria well.
It's not me you should be thanking, it's Rhys Edmonds you should be thanking.
Thank you, Rhys Edmonds, but it's Ellis Jenkins, I'm afraid.
Number 8. Right, I'll start with this. I can't remember who started now. We'll get into that.
I think I started the last one.
I have got 2. Andy Powell was one of them. We don't need to touch on him again. my other one is Sam Simmons. So Sam Simmons is another one who I think may not have had as many much international recognition as Red Jones, but the way he was scoring tries, I think he was top try scorer in the English Gallagher Premiership.
Maybe more than once. Rapid for an 8, wasn't he?
Did he go on the Lions tour?
He did.
Yeah, he was also on the Lions
I think he
tour.
might have played the Test as well.
Yeah, maybe, but I just thought
Such shit line.
completely hard done by England and Eddie Jones.
Kept sticking with believing in home, isn't he?
Yeah, and I think some of the short range, long range tries he scored for it was Exeter, wasn't it? Yeah, for Exeter. I'm just
didn't go for an 8.
and I don't he's gone to France now. Well, good on him, to be honest, because I'd gone far earlier.
I'm not sure when he's doing it, to be honest. I haven't heard much about him.
But yeah, I thought as a fleeting world class for a short amount of time, I think it was probably a 2-year period, English Gallagher Premiership, and a few England caps, don't get me wrong, and a Lions tour where he was possibly, I thought, well, everyone thought, one of the best number 8s, in the world, and England somehow didn't really see it. So,
He had a massive arse, didn't he? Like, really powerful.
yeah, you can see it's
Yeah,
does look like a centre.
Yeah.
He runs. Great player. So I had Sam Simmons as my other one.
Yeah, fair play. I got Ryan Jones, based on his 2005 form. I mean, I know you agree with me on this. Like, when he burst on the scene in 2005, it was that Scotland away game where he started that amazing try with it.
He goes from 2 second rows.
That's it, yeah. Just slowly through, really rapid. I know he got loads of caps for Wales, was a captain for a while. Gatlin has basically put on a few pounds, and he wasn't really the same then. He changed the type of player that he was, and I think it suited him being a bit leaner. He was also that ball from the Lions sort of 2005, but I think he made his way to the Test team, didn't he?
He came late as an injury replacement.
Right.
He played that midweek game against, I remember it was like a green team. And we were like, it was like 6
Counties Manawatu.
Yeah, and he scored like 4 tries, and then like you said, he worked his way into that Test team by the end.
I mean, that's really shit Test team, but
we got battered now, didn't we?
well, that's from New Zealand. But,
Yeah, that's Dan Carter time.
I mean, that New Zealand team didn't win the World Cup, but they were probably the best I've seen.
Yeah, that I honestly think, when top 100 Welsh tries of all time, that Ryan Jones try versus Scotland, it's possibly one of my favourite tries. So obviously, like you said, he was a little bit lighter, a little bit sort of more of a runner then. But what I love is he bursts through 2 second rows. So with the 2 second rows, two of the biggest guys, and he just runs through them, leaves them both on the floor. Little bit of link-up play. That Wales team was obviously...
It was that 2005 was proper magic, wasn't it? We waited all our lives for that kind of tournament, and we went that Grand Slam plays. Really,
the commentary as well. It's Ryan Jones himself. Let's see if it does it. It's Ryan Jones himself.
He doesn't say anything at all.
And through the gap goes Ryan Jones, and Ryan Jones finds support from Kevin Morgan, and there are Welsh players lining up. Surely they're there now, and out for the try. It's Ryan Jones himself, started and finished.
Top 100 Welsh tries of all time with DVP.
I got Ricky Samo. Again, really that try against New Zealand, but he was about 46.
Right. So again,
Can he play with his 2 positions, number 8 and winger?
yeah. Ricky Samo, that try will obviously go down in history. It was 20th try of the year. But the one I did a bit of research on Madiki Samo. It doesn't look like he played many professional rugby games in his whole life. I don't know whether he was playing amateur or right on the brink. But when you look on his wiki, he's played like 20 games here, 20 games there, and then like 20 games for Australia.
Wikipedia, I think, is a bit all over the place with cap numbers, though.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, this try is he was, like you said, he's got winger speed and number 8's power.
Just like maintaining that top pace for that long a distance as well. So that sort of fitness is crazy.
Against New Zealand, and that New Zealand team was ridiculous.
Yeah.
But yeah, Radiki Samo is definitely a shot. I think Radiki Samo could be the shout. Because if we're talking about a fleeting world class for a short amount of time. It's essentially, he had caps in 2004 and then 2011 to 2012. It's almost a year worth of being quality.
But also beyond that game, I don't remember him doing much.
Yeah, that's true. So is it just one try out of the blue? That's a tough one, actually.
That might just be our Southern Hemisphere ignorance, though. He must have done other stuff to get to play starting for Australia at that age. For I think he played for the Brumbies, didn't he? But
so what do we reckon then on number 8? I like Sam Simmons. I like Radicki Samo.
we both enjoyed Ryan Jones' try just then, though, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. But like our team's looking very Welsh heavy now, isn't it? Sam Simmons. Only because he hasn't had loads of caps for England, so we're allowed to like him. He probably hates it.
Yeah, but does that also mean it's more difficult to describe him as world class?
No, doing what he did in the Gallagher Premiership, that is world class.
And I think, to be fair, Exeter did win Europe when he was in his prime.
And he went on a Lions tour, even though he wasn't getting the England squad. That's how much people believed him. Okay.
Alright. Reluctantly.
That pack is not great, is
Well,
it?
that's the worst pack we've picked.
That's the worst pack we've picked. Fucking hell. It's alright, though. It's alright.
Everything's fine.
The back line's going to tear it up. Right, we're happy. We're going to lock that in, okay?
Yeah.
Scott Gibbs! Scott Gibbs!
Okay, nice interlude. So, let's go to our halfbacks.
Okay.
I started on 8, so if you would like to start on 9, please, Sean.
Yeah, and I'm feeling better about my backs than my forwards, especially after looking at the pack that we've ended up on. 9, I've gone Dwayne Peel. Just mainly because I think he was class for age, but Mike Phillips took over pretty quickly after that 2005 Grand Slam. He was starting in the 2005 Dunes Lions tour, but he was quality. His service was so quick. I think he was pretty good, like box kicker and stuff like that as well. It's really, really tidy scrum half. The type of scrum half who really thrived on having a dominant pack in front of him. And you could probably say that about all scrum halves, but he didn't need to do anything special. His service was just so slick.
One thing I will say is Wales had...
And he could do, I don't remember that.
No, me.
Wales, we had that in him.
Yeah, big hits. But Wales had him on a conveyor belt. Gareth Cooper,
Yeah.
him, Mike Phillips.
Well, 2003 it was Gareth Cooper, wasn't it? 2005, Dwayne Peel. And then from 2007, 2008, definitely onwards, it was Mike Phillips for ages. So I think it was pretty fleeting. Even though it felt like he was established for a bit longer.
Yeah, not 2005. He was a freak.
He was running the show.
Yeah, absolutely running the show. He was good.
Lovely pass on him.
And he's what, coach of Scarlet at the moment, is he?
Yeah, he's doing really well.
Yeah. Any honourable mentions? Anyone who got close for you? Scrum half, I struggled a little bit. I think scrum halves generally have they're either one in, one out because they don't fit the bill, or they're there for a long time, aren't they?
Yeah, I guess, yeah. I didn't have any other obvious conclusions.
Well, I had, just for reference as well, he did have 76 caps for Wales, which is absolutely ridiculous.
But he wasn't... I think that is more than I thought, but I don't think he was world class for all. He was world class during the 2005 Grand Slam.
Yeah.
Got into the Lions test team. I don't think he did much either side of that.
The first one, well, I've got a few down, but they're just all arguable. So, David Skrella probably played more 10 than 9, but he was around for a little bit.
I don't remember him ever playing 9.
No? Okay. So there we are. Tawera Kerbalo for New Zealand. I think if he wasn't behind Aaron Smith, I think he's shown some real glimpses of world-class rugby.
Wasn't TJ Pernara closer to start of New Zealand at the same
maybe.
time? He's been class for La Rochelle.
Yeah. Well, Kerbalo's for La Rochelle.
Yeah.
And I think he is definitely world class. I just think he probably hasn't had the opportunities to show it at that top level. Jean-Baptiste Ellis-Sal, who you probably thought was a little bit longer, had a
think
bit
he
of
was pretty
longevity.
consistent throughout his career.
He was a really good player. But the one I went for was Harry Ellis, the England scrum half.
I would argue he was never that much better than pretty shit.
Played in the Lions Test, came on. Took the mantle over from Matt Dawson. Looked like he was on his way to becoming a real world class player. Few injuries, I think, didn't go to a World Cup, and then I think Tom Youngs was up his arse then when he did, but and then I think injuries took his career short, but. On his game and on his day, world class. I thought he obviously got an Lions Test team. I think he came off the bench as scrum half. So there was obviously something there, but I think obviously injuries hampered him a lot. I think he retired quite early as well. So I had him down. He was very much of the English ilk of a scrum half.
Yeah, I think I've got a bit of anti-English bias in this one, but I never liked him or enjoyed him as a player, or ever felt that worried when Wales were playing against him.
Okay, so we'll go to EPLN because I think that 2005
he was proper for a short period of time.
Okay, tens.
Go on then.
Outside half. Outside half. Have you? I'll start this one.
Yeah, it's you then.
I've got three. I've got Pat Lambie for South Africa. If his career hadn't been cut short as well through injury, a lot of my players, you wonder what could have been.
Did he play more full? But I know he could play 10.
I think he was more of a 10.
Okay.
I think he was Young World Player of the Year 1 year, broke into the New Zealand South Africa squad. I think he's actually played about 70 odd caps for South Africa.
15 on his bastard.
Don't start this because I remember Josie on.
Yeah, you started the last time.
I remember
this is comeuppance.
But yeah,
comeuppance.
Yeah, his career was cut short, but you wonder, even though he had 70 caps, he retired about 27. But I had him down.
Oh fucking hell! Remember Ryan Kankowski?
Yeah, well, is that a prop?
No, he was number 8. Rapid.
Beast. The other one I had down was Lionel Boxis.
Right.
Lionel Boxis.
He was fun, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was so fun. And there's, I remember when I was
Lionel.
Can you even spell Boxis?
Yeah.
There was the.
Thanks for giving me the opportunity.
The amazing moment he did for Stade Francais
against Bath.
When here it is, he lit. The ball comes in from a long kick and he just touches it with that kit on as well.
That kit is
pink
absurd.
Kit with some sort of I'm sure that art is relevant to, but yeah, controls the ball on the inside of his foot.
I love relevant art, man.
Yeah, well, those Stade Francais kits were always mad, weren't they?
Yeah,
and he was. Yeah, I'm not sure how many caps he had for France. I assume it's not many. Maybe like 20.
Was he world class, or did you just want to play that clip of it, the slow mo flick up?
Yeah, maybe not world class, but
I appreciate.
But my 10 is of this player of world class for one game. When everyone was injured,
he got an important kick, didn't he?
When everyone was injured, and you needed the most important game ever to be played, a World Cup final,
to get a kick in front of the posts.
He started that game for New Zealand and won a World Cup. And I think there's something to be said about stepping up into that and being world class for one game. So I've gone Stephen Donald for, I think it was Dan Carter did his groin. There was injuries to everyone else, and he came in right at the very end and won a World Cup for New Zealand. So world class for 80 minutes, if that.
Yeah, all right.
Played for Bath at the time, wasn't he?
But was he?
Yeah, I think he was. Yeah.
Was his nickname like Beaver or something?
I can't remember.
Or something like that.
Yeah, I went for
Barrett.
I went for Stephen Donald.
All right, I've gone for James Hook, just because he looked unbelievable when he started. I think his debut against Australia, he scored like more than 20 points. The following Six Nations, which was 2007. It was a really dominant game against England. He was obviously, I think it's well documented, the victim of his versatility, wasn't it? So he he wanted to play 10. He didn't get to play it that much because of, competition, like bigger coming through and stuff. I'm saying 2007, but then 2008, which was Gatlin's first year. Remember that first game against England? That second half when we came
when
back?
he went down the blind side with a couple of dummies and
Yeah, like Kerry Evans classic, feeling a thy
Deschamps,
he loved it. And again, I don't think it's through any fault of his own. He just ended up getting played full back, inside centre a lot, even outside centre for a while. So it's more to do with just that 1 or 2 years when he started, and he looked like he was going to be the next, Barry John or something.
I think his career was, I think he was world class. I think he won the world class 10 for the whole time, but I think he did end up becoming world class for a long time. I think, like you said, he probably was played in all these positions, but I would still say he was world class for a long time. One of Wales's most important players for a long time. A couple of Lions tours, maybe one Lions tour.
He could have been an honourable mention for style points, I think.
Yeah, there was comparisons of Barry John early doors, wasn't there? And that balanced running and the
70s style
sidestepping, and he was so hard to stop. But yeah, okay, I like that. But yeah,
you think he was? So you think he was world class for longer? Do you?
I don't think he was a world class 10 for a long time.
So I think that's the only position he was world class in. See,
I don't know. He played a lot. Of. I'll be honest. He played a lot of rugby in a lot of positions, didn't he?
Yeah,
it back almost, wasn't it?
And it was almost just like he was plugging gaps for the rest of his career. I think that 2007, 2008, he looked like he was going to be the man for ages at 10.
Yeah.
And it didn't quite happen, again, through no fault of his own, I don't think.
Anyone else you had down on your list?
Yeah, Berwick Barnes.
I know that name and I can't remember why.
He was class for Australia for a couple of years. He had a horrible injury. He's probably the most obvious example I've got of just being a victim of injury. It's not just because he was only good for a little bit of time. He was, robbed of a career basically, but looked really good. I got Dan Parks as well as my third honourable mention. Basically, because he was class for a year. Cardiff bought him. And then
fell apart.
Wondered why the fuck they did.
The Adam Norton Knight effect.
Yeah, it wasn't that bad, but it was pretty depressing.
Yeah, I remember this Berwick Barnes now, but he said he's got 51 caps. I don't remember that age of him playing 50 times.
Yeah, I don't think he lasted
Australia.
that. No, I didn't think he lasted that long either. I think out of all the players we've mentioned, out of any of the pods, I'd have him as top 3 worst first names.
Berwick. Patrick Lambie.
Shall we overemphasise the first names of every player we named?
Yeah.
From now
Patrick Lambie had 56 caps for South Africa.
Radike
Samo. Right. This list isn't going amazingly well, is it? We can't have Stephen Donald down there. We can't.
No, you can't have Stephen Donald because he was never world class.
He was.
No, he
World
wasn't.
Cup final.
World Cup final. You got to kick that. Maybe you or I would have got.
Right, we'll test this out one day.
Yeah, in your garden.
Right, so who are we going with? We're going with James Hook. Our team is just so Wales.
Fuck yeah, it is.
We got James. We got
Hook. Philo Hucko.
Dwayne Peel, James Hook. Has he got an E on his end? He hasn't got an E on.
Hook.
Okay. Right, should we move on to our centres?
Yeah, we doing a vote together again, yeah?
Yeah. I don't know who's next in line.
You can go.
Okay, so 12. I struggled with 12 as well. But I had Jan Serfontein, who's a South African who retired quite early as well. That pronunciation.
Serfontein?
Serfontein, yeah.
De Serfontein.
Jan Serfontein.
Yes, yeah. Serfontein.
Jan Serfontein. Again, I don't know.
He was amazing at under 20 level, wasn't he?
Yeah, and his career was cut quite short.
Well, no, I think he just went to Japan at like a randomly early age.
Well, he's still at Montpellier now. He's playing there.
I think it was to Japan at all, apparently. Good stuff.
But the one I went for was Luke McAllister. He was
fucking quadzilla.
Yeah, I thought, again, we talk about like the next big thing. Like it looked like he was gonna go on, and he was like, when you talk about legends of inside centre, like, you know, Aaron Major and stuff, I just thought he was going to be around for a long time, and it turned out that he wasn't. He went to France. I think he ended up going down a couple of divisions in France and playing in Div 2 France. But yeah, for a short period of time, he was an absolute quality 12.
It was a shame for him that he was playing a lot in that World Cup where New Zealand got knocked out by France. But they were so dominant up to that game.
But he was an absolute baller. He could carry. He was like a second 5'8" for they call in New Zealand, where he could play a little bit. And
reminds me of him quite a lot. It's Joe Hawkins, physique-wise, skill set-wise.
Yeah, and you can see there. Well, you know, he's got 10 on his back, so he's obviously highly regarded. I'm not sure whether he left New Zealand because he wasn't getting in the team, and then, you know, a lot of New Zealand players tend to do that, go to Europe and make a buck or whatever. But I had him down at 12. I thought he was a class player. Didn't really last. His longevity wasn't that big, but
I don't think that's a bad shout. 13 for you?
13 for me. Okay, so funnily enough, we were watching a game. We were texting during the game the other day, and Jacob Stockdale was playing. Jacob Stockdale was probably one of Ireland's most potent attacking threats. I think a few injuries, and hasn't really got back in that team as consistently as you'd have thought.
When's he ever played centre though?
Is he more? What was he more?
Winger, I think.
Or wing.
Maybe the odd fullback.
Okay,
appearance.
so maybe not him.
I agree. Mate, he fits the fleeting criteria well, but I don't think he ever plays it. Definitely not internationally.
I also had Lakayo Am down. I think it's a little bit unfair because I think he's probably still got a role to play, and he probably still is a little bit world class. But he sort of burst on the scene almost for that World Cup and won that World Cup.
Quality.
And then as sort of fallen down the pecking order because of injury, didn't quite make that last World Cup. Again, that fleeting, I do think, you know, he had a couple of years where he was, you know, one of the best 13s, and I don't think he's quite finding his feet again.
Well, I think his injuries. I think he's had a bad injury, hasn't he?
Yeah.
But he has a bit of an unusual physique, doesn't he? He almost looks a bit like skinny.
Yeah.
Below the waist, anyway. But yeah, he's got all the skills. Rapid as well.
And my other one, I haven't actually chosen one which I'd like to pick, is Wesley Fofana, who obviously scored some outrageous tries. Who did you have down?
Eddie Butler loved saying Fofana, didn't he?
Funny enough, Wesley Fofana actually plays football as well for Leicester.
He's a really talented athlete.
Yeah.
All round. Okay, 12. I've gone Scotty Too Hotty, Scott Williams.
Scott Williams, okay.
Again, injuries didn't help him, but that 2012 Grand Slam, the try against England.
I was there for that in Twickenham.
Oh, were you?
Yeah, I was there for that in Twickenham.
I was in Italy at the time and ended up watching that with loads of like Oxbridge, full on stereotypical like poshos.
Yeah.
And I don't think I behaved very well after Scott Williams scored his try.
I just love how he rips it off Courtney
They didn't
Laws.
speak to me for the rest of the evening.
Rips it off Courtney Laws, chips through.
And then Brian Moore goes, he's there!
The bounce is just unbelievable into his arms.
He looked like he was going to be amazing. It's a shame that Jamie Roberts was like in his prime for most of his career. But he had something special about Scott Williams, like as an athlete. I think he was, I remember hearing, I think WRU did a series of interviews where they'd ask like quite sort of funny questions to the players. Like one of them was who was the hardest, and I think they interviewed about 5 or 6 different players. 4 or 5 of them said Scott Williams like immediately.
Yeah.
Fucking nails. And that's that hit there. Brian O'Driscoll said that's the hardest he's ever been hit.
Really?
Yeah.
But yeah, Scott Williams, yeah, that's a really good shout.
I had Fofana as an honourable mention as well. I think he was like incredible for a couple of years, Fofana, but I think he was world class for ages as well. I've also gone Jonathan Joseph.
Oh, mate, yeah.
Just because there was a couple of years where he would tear Wales apart.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not sure if he might be doing it for longer, but there was definitely like a short period, I remember, he was just so hard to deal with from a Welsh perspective anyway. Good name.
Jonathan Joseph, do you think... Oh, he has moved to Biarritz now, so...
I didn't think he was still playing.
Did he have the longevity? 54 caps for England.
54, but how many of those caps was he world class?
Yeah,
I think he was starting for the Lions in 2017 against New Zealand, which felt like that was a proper Lions tour. I think he might be playing on the wing actually, because obviously Fox was 13 and he was dominant.
Didn't play a test in that tour, but obviously.
I think he did. Wikipedia's got it wrong. But I can't be 100% on that. But he's an honourable mention. I think it's kind of then. But with a massive caveat that it's because of injury and
yeah, of course. But a lot of these are because of injury or because they haven't been in the team long enough and stuff. What about Luke McAllister at 12? I think Luke McAllister's not a bad little shout at 12.
Oh, that is a good shout. But I like Scott Williams as well. But you're already typing Luke McAllister. That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
We are going to go for our back three. Do you want to do wingers together? You could do your wingers and then we'll do fullback as well. So do both your wingers.
Again, I'm not, similar to second rows. I'm not that confident that my left wingers are actually left wingers, my right are right.
Yeah, don't worry about that. Although I did watch a video the other day from the rugby coach. The ex Osprey player who does like all that stuff on social media now.
Yeah,
and he was like 14 is more of like a powerful winger, and then 11's more of a stepper, and it made sense because Shane was always 11, wasn't it? So I was like, oh, that does make a little bit of sense.
But it has to be though.
No, it doesn't have to be, but it
tends to work.
So sometimes it tends to work like that. So I don't know, but yeah, go for your first wing.
All right, so on the left wing, I've basically gone for both starting wingers in New Zealand's 2015 World Cup winning side, because they were in New Zealand's they both won a World Cup starting on the wing. Never really heard from them again. So there's Naholo.
Yeah. Huge Naholo, yeah. And Leicester.
That's the Dolo.
Oh, Naholo, the quick one. He broke his leg and he came back after like 6 weeks.
Might have broken his leg, yeah. I think he went to London Irish for loads of money and hardly ever played because he had bad injury. But that World Cup, he looked amazing. And also Milner Scudder.
He's on mine as well.
And again, I think that's injury. And we didn't see much of him before that World Cup because he came from Leeds, didn't he?
Yeah.
Waisake Naholo, that's it.
No, Milner Scudder I had. That 2015 World Cup, he scored most of his international tries. He was a hot stepper. He was unstoppable.
Unbelievable. Yeah, he had this sort of sideways glides, didn't he? One of the best looking steps I've ever seen. But I think with New Zealand, a lot of their wingers are fleeting because they seem to have just like a revolving door of the wingers, don't they?
Yeah, and like, I don't know whether there's just the next one is just amazing, so they just bring them in or what. But they are, like you said, very fleeting. They just tear it up. They score, try a game, and the next guy comes up, and then he can score, try a game, and the other one. And sometimes they go off to Europe, don't they, to make more money and stuff.
Yeah. Do you know what? I think I just made a mistake because Julian Surveyor, who's also fairly fleeting, that was his World Cup, so he must be starting over Naholo.
Julian Sevilla, I can't remember who he plays for in Super Rugby at the moment, but he's Super Rugby's all-time leading try scorer, I think now.
He was at the Hurricanes before. I think he's at he's Moana Pacifica now.
Yeah, that's it, Moana Pacifica, and I think he's played 13 there as well.
What was it?
Yeah, but yeah, no, Nahi Milner Scudder, I had him. I thought that 2015 World Cup, he was a massive part of that. He was pretty unstoppable, and like that Carlos Spencer step where you like jump and bang,
Yeah.
He beat people in the phone box. He'd make people look so stupid as well.
I don't think he was particularly quick for a winger, but because his footwork was so good, he just easily creates space for himself.
So I had him down as one. Was that both of your same wings?
Yeah, same wing. And the other one, I got Teddy Thomas.
Oh, yeah.
Just because I think he's still in his mid-20s. Something's gone wrong with him because he's still, I don't think it's injury because he's I still see him playing a lot for like Racing and stuff. I think in his debut, I'm pretty sure he scored 4 tries against Australia. This is it. And he can do some amazing things.
Yeah. Yeah, an athlete, proper athlete, really quick, good feet.
But for France, Pano and, it was Villiers up until recently, and now it's that Pierre Barre have taken over. I don't think Teddy Thomas, I see him kind of looking, but for a couple of years, he was, just unplayable.
Yeah, I agree. Did you have any other players on your list?
Digby Ioane.
Yeah.
So that Reds team
Digby
with Craig
Ioane.
Cooper and
Genya, he was like amazing for the Reds as well. I think he had a couple of really good years for Australia. I'm sure they won the rugby championship with him.
Yeah.
In
my head, then I was thinking Ioanni's played for Italy, but it's
that's Monty, isn't it? Yeah.
Are they related?
Like cousins
or something. Yeah. Okay, yeah, Digby Ioanni. We've seen enough about him. He's
Not enough.
I love. Yeah, he was a really good player. I loved him. Really.
But Teddy Thomas, I had him for me.
Okay, so for mine, I had. I'm Nahi Milner-Scud. I thought that 2015 Rugby World Cup was unbelievable. Scoring tries all over the place. Probably his best sort of thing. I had Rennie Ranger down as well. Rennie Ranger was a freak in
Beast.
in Super Rugby.
I think he did it for a few games for New Zealand, but
never really took off, did he? A bit like Caleb Clark now. Is he going to take off or
not?
Well,
when Caleb Clark burst on the scene, it was like, I think it was just after COVID, and he looked like he was going to be something else. But and
you wonder whether he's going to turn up like Rennie Ranger and not really.
Again, it's just like New Zealand revolving door.
Yeah,
I mean, how many players have we just mentioned? New Zealand wingers.
Yeah, I had a guy called Louis Rees-Zammit, who's NFL player now. He's moved to American football. Played for Wales. Obviously had a ridiculous time at Gloucester, ridiculous time at Wales, went on a Lions tour.
Did you still get the impression that he wasn't really fulfilling his potential though? He scored that hat-trick against Georgia, but in big, I can't remember many really big games for Wales where he would...
Out in South Africa, he scored that long-distance try.
He did.
He
and he was
really
good.
quick.
He was good when we won that Grand Slam with the P-back.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't a Grand Slam, sorry, Six Nations.
Six Nations. But I think he's on the verge, if not world class. And I think we'll look back and probably go, "Wow, we had a world class player there, and he's gone."
World class talent, like without a doubt.
And he's a Lambeth boy as well. You probably wouldn't tell me that.
Mine was points.
But yeah, Louis Rees-Zammit. So I had him. I think.
This was
and the try against Fiji as well.
Larson Halahoda as well was lovely.
Yeah, the tries he scored. The rugby he's played while he's been in a Welsh shirt, I think you would definitely consider him world class. I think he's probably one of the best winners in the Six Nations when he's on. And that, I think, makes
I can't help thinking it was still a question of like how big his potential was as opposed to him actually being if they were the best winger in the Six Nations. Yeah. This season he was, but there was a sense of frustration watching him.
Yeah, there was. I think he was injured. He was injured as well, wasn't he? My other winger. Have you done your other wings? Yeah, you've done.
Yeah, so I had the two New Zealand ones on the one wing and Teddy Thomas on the other.
I had Rupeni, Kauko and Mbaka. I think that World Cup where he scored all those tries against Scotland, I think that was probably he went off the boil big time, didn't he?
Do you know what? He is straight in there because it was more fleeting than I thought, especially internationally. Yeah, there's I think it was the 2003 World Cup. He scored those tries against Scotland, but he also scored a couple of mad ones against France where he skinned. Who was the long hairs guy for Clermont?
Rougerie.
Rougerie, yeah. He has a little bit of space. He took him on the outside. Rougerie literally didn't touch him.
Yeah.
I hear just hearing and reading things from the Southern Hemisphere. A lot of people think he was or should have ended up being the best player of all time.
Well, I remember this World Cup, and there was talk that this guy was going to play, and it was like, oh, okay, Fiji have always got flyers, and this is it. And he just
doesn't touch it.
He just turned up and just absolutely tore that World Cup apart. I remember that celebration against Scotland. Or was it this one?
That's right. Yeah.
Look at that. Because he was flying. And then obviously you can almost see from the videos in that World Cup, he looks like he could be a bit heavy. And
when he ends up getting super fat and he was still rapid when he went to play in France.
Yeah, when he went to Agen.
That's it.
He played in Agen. But yeah, this World Cup, there's nothing more fleeting than this World Cup of Rupeni turning up, tearing up and disappearing.
He's in.
Well, hang on, I got another two. And he wasn't even my first choice.
I don't even want to hear him.
I've got Jose Gia, which I thought was great. And the other one...
Did you mean Rico?
No, Jose Gia was the winger, wasn't it? Was it?
Rico Gear had more All Blacks caps.
Oh, maybe then. Right, so the other wing I had, who I can guarantee you haven't thought of, is
Fuck off.
Kenki Fukuoka. So, Kenki Fukuoka's story...
I hadn't thought of him.
Kenki Fukuoka's story, after this World Cup, or not long after, he retired to become a doctor.
I was like 27 or something.
Yeah, he tore this World Cup apart. I know Matsushima, the other winger, has obviously had a great World Cup as well. But I think he started on the bench as a bench player. And he obviously scored the iconic try against Ireland here. He scores an interception.
No, he almost scored the interceptions, didn't he?
Yeah, he almost scored an interception. He scored a ridiculous try against Scotland. He rips the ball. The ball's in the air. He catches it.
It's a mad one-arm rip, isn't it?
And then he catches it while it's in mid-air and then runs like 60 metres. It looks absolutely rapid.
That Japan performance against Scotland in that game. I mean, they beat Ireland. I remember watching this in a bar in Tokyo, which was loads of fun, like in itself. But that game against Scotland, I remember there was a typhoon, wasn't there? And it was sort of 50-50 where the match would go ahead. So there was a lot of emotion with the fans and stuff during the game. But they played some of the best rugby I've ever seen during that game. Just tore Scotland apart.
And I feel like Fukuoka was a massive part of that.
Yeah,
and I love the story that he then goes, I'm going to retire and become a doctor. Like he's almost like, I've completed rugby, especially
Although I'd rather be stuck around if we keep watching him, but.
Yeah, of course. But yeah, so I really love that. I really want to just that rip and try against Scotland was something else. I just thought he as fleeting comes.
Yeah, he is. He's a perfect addition.
Yeah, so this is the try against Scotland. I'll put the link in the chat for everyone, but.
Michael Leach, what a player he is.
Michael Leach in our World Cup. But yeah, he rips the ball. Is that Chris Harris? Chris Harris.
I considered him the 30.
It's falling to the floor, picks it up, and then just puts the wheels on. So I had Fukuoka. I thought, if you're talking about fleeting, that one World Cup, almost that one...
You nailed it. You've absolutely nailed it.
So are we going to have him as one of the wingers?
Yeah, we got some competition now. Yeah, I think he's in.
Okay, so we'll have him as a winger.
He embodies the essence of fleeting.
He really does.
15.
He really does. Yeah. Glad you could see it. I've got Cow as well down.
Fucking yeah! Get Cow in there.
Yeah. Rupeni Cow
Nibuka.
That honestly,
I think you've nailed that spelling.
That is possibly the coolest name of all time as well.
But it's like thou, isn't it?
Yeah,
I think C is pronounced.
Okay, so shall we move on to the final position?
Yes, please.
This back line is finally starting to live up to the team.
Yeah, they're not going to get any ball though.
yeah.
Standing around, frustrated.
There's loads of big hitting fucking nutters.
Yeah.
Okay, fullback.
Relying on Bradley Davis outside of that France game.
Let me start with this because you're going to hate my choices. I got Delon Armitage. Never really world class.
I think he was.
Do you reckon?
I think he was.
Okay, Delon. So I had Delon. He had a really good couple of seasons for London Irish.
And England.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was very effective. You know who I had? I had Morgan Stoddard. He was on the brink. He played he scored a load of tries for Wales. Went to that. It was Wales v England in a Rugby World Cup warm-up game. He was tearing it up. Like I thought, fucking hell, we've got a player on our hands here. Broke his leg in that game. Never played for Wales again.
He was a bit of a Tom James, wasn't he? He couldn't do anything else. He couldn't defend, but he could make line breaks.
Yeah. And I thought, fucking hell.
So easily.
I thought, we have nailed here. We've got a player on our hand. But the player I did choose is Nick Abendanon.
Fuck's sake.
You got his eels.
No way.
Yeah, he was European Player of the Year one year. He had 2 caps for England. He was the best player in Europe. Playing for, was it Perpignan he played for? Clermont he played for. He was European Player of the Year for that year he played for them. He was unbelievable and completely overlooked by England, a bit like Stefan. So yeah, I had Nick a bending on.
My starting fullback is basically the reason I thought of this whole theme in the first place. Because I think he is the true. I've already said embodiment.
An essence, and you've chosen S, and you've said essence. No, we're keeping it in. We're keeping
no,
it in.
I don't. So my choice of fullback was basically first on the list, and he was decent the rest of his career. But Lee Byrne, around 2009, early Gatland period, was, I think, the best fullback in the world for maybe a year, maybe not even a year, but in terms of like running lines,
That France try
is the best example of it. Is his timing and like angles of running, and he also had, which from a style point of view, which I know isn't the main criterion, but I think it helps anyway. His old school spiral punt.
Oh,
I mean, he would take kicks to touch for Wales, wouldn't he?
yeah.
Over like Stephen Jones,
Like
and,
long, like proper long kicks, wasn't it?
just a proper old school torpedo.
Yeah, but like, you know what?
Yeah,
like,
that's the top one.
you know what? Like when you look at fullbacks, right?
Shankly, that's good.
Hitting the line of pace. And you talk about hitting the line of pace, there was no one like him. You put the ball and he would hit it like a fucking cannon.
Stephen Jones's timing of pass here as well.
Bang.
Superb. He wasn't even that quick, but it didn't matter because his line.
Yeah, his running lines were unbelievable. And that was what we used to say all the time. His running lines were just unbelievable.
And he was part of that like mini sort of like crew of unnaturally tanned Welsh players who played for the Ospreys, like Mike Phillips, Henson.
Gavin Henson, yeah.
Loved to be really naughty on nights out and stuff.
Yeah.
Just good times.
This line here is just unbelievable. He just hits it. And he would do this all the time, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
He would do that all the time. And sometimes it would lead to tries. Sometimes it would lead to just line breaks. But yeah, he was great.
I've also got Goromaru as well. Remember the Japanese fullback in the 2015 World Cup?
Did he make gloves?
He wore gloves and he'd do this when he was sit kick. He has a big money move to France, and then everyone realised he was a little bit shit, or just not as good as he kind of made out during that World Cup. So he was incredible at the South Africa game. There was a tackle he made against Scotland where there was a sure try, and he. Have a look for that. Have a look for Goromaru tackle.
Yeah, we'll have a look and see. Because that World Cup, I loved him, and it's like, it wasn't gloves. He had his fingers taped. Yeah. But he was
great for that one World Cup. I don't think he made it to 2019
But
World Cup.
He wasn't amazing attacking-wise. Like you said, he had a couple of tackles, but he was very steady, wasn't he? He was just like what they needed at the time. He was very...
But I think he played a big part in like loads of those like tricky sort of back moves.
Yeah.
So he didn't have like massive gas or anything like that, but I think he was a good playmaker as well.
And kicking is such an important part in international rugby.
It's tackle, yeah. As textbook as it gets. Look at this. Look at this surefire try. And look at the fucking tackle.
Ah, yeah, right in the corner. Oh. And kicking is so important in international rugby, and he was a really high percentage kicker, and they could just, every time they got a penalty, they knew they could depend on him, and that wins rugby games. And that won a lot of rugby games in those World Cups. So
weren't they the records points? No, I'll say that again. Weren't they the team who broke the record for the most points by a team that didn't make it out of the group stages? So they only lost one game, but they didn't make it out of the stage.
Oh, did they really? Yeah, Goromaru was a really good shout. I think I like it more than anyone you've said.
Lee Byrne. I think Lee Byrne is, again, to me, if I think of this theme, he's the first one who comes to mind. He was the best fullback in the world for like a year or two, and then probably not even in the conversation for like top 10 for the rest of his career.
Yeah, that's so true. He was the most fleeting of fleeting. Right, so wrap up this team.
That backline is a lot of fun, I think.
It almost gets better from 1 to 15 as well. So, like...
Yeah, peaks at Lee Byrne.
No, peaks at Calco, I reckon. No, but I think the backline's more fun. I think what you've got to remember about this team is it's like a moment. It's not like style points where they were stylish their whole career. It's not like, Scrum Cap where they were amazing their whole career. It's like you've got to pick these and think of these players on those days that we mentioned.
Yeah. So that team, all of them playing at their absolute peak, was World Cup semi, if not finals.
Yeah, could compete. But
and then they play South Africa in the final, and Pollard's going to smelly penalty at the end or something.
yeah, like Pat Lambie
Just ruin it for everyone.
Pat Lambie ruins the day. Not Pollard. What's the full? Stain scores a lot, 60 metre. But no, you've got to remember that this team is infamous at the time they were, and I think that team could compete with anyone.
Not infamous.
Infamous for short periods.
Infamous is the wrong word.
Infamous
is like known for bad reasons.
Oh yeah, bad.
Oh, as in bad.
Bad rugby player.
Oh yeah. No,
okay, so what do we always do? Captains.
Yeah.
Captains.
Lee Byrne for me, just because he was the first on the list, and I think I think he fits the criteria perfectly.
Ellis Jenkins is a shout for captain as well, captain of Wales, but sure.
Again, I suppose it depends on your reasons. Yeah, Ellis Jenkins is more of a captain.
It's your podcast.
Is it?
So, Lee Byrne, captain of the fleeting 15, world class for a short amount of time.
I think we redeemed ourselves with the back line.
Yeah, Calcow's tearing up anyway.
Bradley Davies and James Ryan is the worst combination we ever picked. And it might even like keep to 100 episodes, that still might end up being worse. Not to mention Corbetier and fucking Mujahid as cross. That is bullshit, isn't it?
Yeah, but
imagine him on scene of the day in the front row.
yeah, but
What have we done?
but Lions so I don't know, fuck it. We got Calcow in there, we got Fukuoka, they're scoring tries.
Yeah, Lee Byrne just torpedoing it all over the
There's no defence at all in our back line. Yeah, the Cameron could tackle.
Because defensive general.
Yeah. But yeah, that's our fleeting 15. Like, please rip it apart because it needs to be ripped apart.
Please don't know, I'm too sensitive.
And thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Oh, we bloody love rugby, so what do you think of this XP? Oh, we bloody love rugby, so what do you think of it?